Alrighty, so I recently built an ITX or small form factor PC in an MATX or ITX case. Now, what that means is this case can actually hold an MATX or ITX motherboard. In my case, it has an MATX motherboard. The case is called the SEMA IM01. Now, it currently has two of its panels off, the front panel and one of the side panels, just to give you a better idea. I just want to go through some troubles I went through while building this. You can see the cable management is atrocious, so please ignore that as long as you can. It doesn't have a USB-C on the front panel, front I/O panel. So if you're looking for a USB-C, this won't have it. But it's really good if you want to try out the small form factor, but you have an MATX motherboard and you want to like reuse as many components as you want. Now the biggest problem, well, there's two main problems I encountered, but the first big problem is your front panel I/O connectors in an MATX motherboard is usually, if not always, on the bottom here, right? You can see here, you can't see it actually. There's actually some duct tape over here, this black area, which is, sorry, not duct tape, electrical tape, which I've used to stick down the front panel I/O pins to the headers to the pins. Right? What would happen here is the fans itself would push on these pins so that they would be upwards. Now, the first time I did this, I got really scared because I thought I broke it because it was quite literally, the pins were diagonal up. And so what I did was utilize the offsets. So there are some offsets on your fan, on these fan mounts. So they come similar to this. This is for the air cooler, but they look a little different. But the idea here is that these little knobs you can see here are where you can slide your fans closer to one side or another. So see these will make it a bit closer to this side, while these ones over here will make it closer to this side. Right, so I've obviously put an offset so it's closer towards the outside of the case to make as much room as possible, but there was still interference, right? This PC works fine, but the first time I booted it up, it wouldn't boot because the power button was not connected. So hence I had to duct tape this. So please be aware, you will struggle a little bit. Hopefully it doesn't break for you. It didn't break for me, which was really lucky, but I feel like it's quite fragile, so yeah. Next issue is, I wanted to talk about GPU and PSU configuration. So I have a 3-fan GPU, which is one of the longest lengths of GPUs you can get. I don't know the exact measurement, but I'm just going to refer to them as 3-fan and 2 fans. So initially I had an MATX build, so I utilized an ATX power supply, not this. The case comes with an ATX mount. ATX power supply is a lot bigger than this one that's in this case here, which is an SFX. But with an ATX power supply, it will take up most of this area, and it'll come down to around here. Now you can see the cables are around, they start here, they go down a little, and you route them to wherever you need. Now with the 3-fan GPU, you can see there's quite a bit of distance between the cables and GPU, so you can route them out of the way, right? So that's all good. But if you had an ATX power supply, which I originally did with this build, it doesn't interfere, but the PSU itself doesn't interfere with the GPU, but the cables running down it will cut through the GPU, so it wouldn't work out basically. So if you have a 3-fan GPU and an ATX power supply, you can't build it, right? You would have to get an SFX power supply, or more expensively, switch to a 2-fan GPU so it doesn't actually interfere with the cables over here. There's another thing that I want to bring up is I got really confused by the Chinese manual, where to place my SSDs. So currently you can't really see it. It's because it is mounted, I'll look like this instead, right over here. So how it's actually done is via these grommets over here. You can screw them in, you can place 2 over here, and you can place 1 beside it. These move slightly up and down as well to make some variations. You can also mount a hard drive disk or some SSDs in your PSU SFX case. There are holes to accommodate that. You can also place some on the top here where you don't have a fan. So in my case, I only have 1 fan on the top, so this slot you could have used for your SSD. It just didn't make much sense because the cable would have to run all the way up. There's also restrictions with your air cooler. This one is a Snowman MT6. It's around 153 millimeters. It still fits with the tempered glass panel, which is cool. Other than that, oh, there is another issue. If you are using a Corsair SFX power supply, the CPU cable that it comes with is too short to run to the CPU pin header over there. It's just a tad bit short, right? So what I've done is just use my old ATX power supply CPU cable instead, but if you are, you might want to purchase a replacement if you're buying a Corsair SF, whatever wattage you want. To summarize, if you use an M-ATX motherboard, the front panel I/O pins will interfere with your headers, so please be careful with that, even with the fan offset. So either make sure you buy thinner, smaller, I don't know, smaller fans, thinner fans, I don't know if that will actually work, or just be extra careful when you build with that. Second issue is you can't have an ATX power supply and a 3-fan GPU. It won't fit. You have to have an SFX power supply and as big of a GPU as you want, or you run an ATX power supply with a 2-fan